Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's video. It's about 11 p.m. here in the UK. I'm your presenter, Dr. Melissa Tranquille, life coach and founder of Peak Living with Mel. Typically what I do is help people who are stuck become unstuck so that they can accomplish any goal in their personal, professional or business life. In other words, I help people to become more empowered for success. Now, there are many reasons why persons become stuck in life. Some common reasons are lack of finances, low motivation, unforeseen events. But there's one reason why people become stuck in life and are unable to accomplish their goals. And this may be a reason which they may not be aware of. And this is self-talk. So in tonight's video, I'm going to be addressing self-talk, how to break negative self-talk. We will be looking at 4 key things. Firstly, what is self-talk? What are some of the benefits of self-talk? What are the dangers of negative self-talk? And how to break negative self-talk. Now, self-talk can be defined as the internal chatter or that internal monologue that takes place in our mind. And it is something that is common to all of us. All of us have that internal chatter that occurs in our mind. The question is, which one dominates? Is it your more positive self-talk that dominates? Or is it your negative self-talk? Do you find yourself struggling with some of the thoughts that keep popping up in your mind? Do you find yourself struggling with those limiting beliefs? Do you find yourself struggling to find the motivation that you need to work on that long-term project? And if you do, how has your self-talk been? Now, before I get deeper into the issue, let me share a Native American story. This will help you to gather a deeper understanding of the importance of self-talk. And this is the story of 2 wolves. A granddad sat by the fireplace with his grandson, and he said to him, inside of every human being, there are 2 wolves. There's the good wolf and there's the bad wolf. The bad wolf represents everything that is negative, like hatred, jealousy, unforgiveness, anger. And the good wolf represents the contrast, love, forgiveness, kindness, courtesy, caring. And these 2 wolves are battling inside of every human being. The grandson was puzzled, and he asked his granddad, so granddad, who wins? And the granddad's response was this: the one that you feed. Let us pause on this for a moment and consider this. Which one have you been feeding in your life? Now, as I ask this question, do not go into any self-judgment. This is not the purpose of this video, but it's to make you aware, because change can only happen when we become conscious of the things that we need to change. So it is only to make you aware of what it is, of the areas that you need to improve in. What have you been feeding in your life of late, or for the past year, or perhaps all your life you've struggled with? Have you been feeding the bad wolf? Have you been feeding the negative self-talk? Now, self-talk is not all that bad. There are some benefits of self-talk. It helps you in your decision making and in evaluating your options. Let me give you an example. If you're someone who wants to lose weight, that is your goal. Your goal is to lose weight. You've set a goal to lose 10 kilos within the next 3 months by exercising 3 times a week and having a more balanced diet. But you have your cheat day. And it is 2 days after your cheat day, you're out in a restaurant, you're having lunch with your family or friends. And The choices that are before you are very tempting. And there goes your internal monologue, your internal chatter that says, you shouldn't choose the fish and fries. You should actually choose the salad and the salmon today. It helps you in evaluating your options and in making decisions. So self-talk has its benefits. It can serve as a reminder as you go through the day. Then your self-talk reminds you of some of the things that you need to get done, of those things that are important and that you have to get done. So there are benefits of self-talk. And research has demonstrated that self-talk is a great predictor for success. We'll get to that later. But let's talk about some of the dangers of self-talk. And for those of you who struggle with it, I'm sure that you can attest and you can identify, quickly how it has been impacting your life. And for one, negative self-talk, and this should be dangers of negative self-talk on the slide. Negative self-talk, what it does is that it lowers your self-confidence because it is attached with limited thinking. And you will keep telling yourself that you can't do something. You will see yourself as a loser, as a failure. But tell me something. If you keep telling yourself that you can't do something, would you be able to do it eventually? No, you won't succeed. Negative self-talk, it also impacts your relationships. How it can impact your relationship? Let's take an example from a movie. And it's a very popular one. It's the movie of Shrek and Fiona. And Shrek finally brought the king, well, he was not yet king, Lord Farquhar, I think was his name, of short stature, to meet Fiona. And as Fiona leaves, Shrek says, well, Fiona gets what she wants. Fiona gets the man that she deserves. Everything works out for her. But Donkey turns and he says to Shrek, but what about you, Shrek? Because Shrek believed that Fiona did not love him for who he was. And hence, if we were to see the sequel of, I think it's in part 2 or 3, where Shrek went to try to transform himself so that he can be someone else, so that Fiona would love him, without realizing that Fiona loved him just the way he was, which of course he realized at the ending of the movie in part 1. But his negative self-talk kept him from going after Fiona. Your negative self-talk can hinder your relationships. It can destroy your relationship because you'll be thinking something that may not be there. It can break down your communication with your loved ones or with other persons because of that negative self-talk that's taking place in your mind. It will demotivate you. You would lose your inner drive and motivation that you need to go after your goals. And you know what happens? What happens when you entertain negative self-talk? And then as you entertain those limiting beliefs, those negative thoughts, and you begin to speak it as if in affirmation without realizing, because when you actually speak, I can't succeed. I don't have A, so I can't do B. I am not as successful, or I'm not as lucky as Jack or Jill. When you begin to echo those words, it's like you confirm the negative self-talk that's occurring in your mind. And then what happens? You find yourself in a vicious cycle of negative self-talk. And that vicious cycle has only one end: the death of your dreams. And to add insult to injury, it becomes even worse when your inner voice is no longer your own, but it echoes other people's criticisms. In other words, sometimes and this is why it is extremely important to be careful who you surround yourself with. Who do you associate yourself with? Because if you associate yourself with negative persons who can't identify with your dream, because for them perhaps you're dreaming too big, or perhaps they don't want you to be more successful than they are, or perhaps they're just a negative person. When you associate yourself with such persons, and they tell you, no, you shouldn't do that, you're not ready for it, then you begin to believe that, and you begin to echo what they have said to you. I'm not ready for it. I think I'll wait till 2 years from now. I think I'll wait until I'm ready to start my business. I think I'll wait till next year, when I'm done with X or Y, to write my book. And then you are actually believing those negative criticisms that people are saying to you and accepting it as your own. But I say to you now, you can stop the negative self-talk. You can break it and get rid of it. Now, there are several things that you can do. And in my coaching program, I have an entire process for this. But permit me to share with you right now just a few things that you can do. And believe you me, if you were to just take any two for now, you will be able to carefully monitor your self-talk throughout the day. Now, it is the time that you have to recognize if you struggle with negative self-talk, it is time to accept it and recognize that you need to change. Remember that change is only possible when you acknowledge it. So one of the things I want you to do if you struggle with negative self-talk is to interrupt it. You catch your critic. Catch your critic. You stop it right there in its thoughts. And you interrupt it. Now, you're not just interrupting that negative thought or that negative self-talk. What you are doing also, you interrupt it and you replace it with empowering beliefs. You interrupt it and you replace it with positive self-talk. Now, Cameron, I think his name is Cameron Actor. He has a book on self-talk, on using self-talk to achieve success. And it's a great little book. And he recommends that in order to use self-talk to achieve your end goals, it must be short, it must be concise, it must be in the present tense. I am responsible for the life that I create. It's short, it's concise, it's in the present tense. I can do anything I put my mind to. I see all challenges as opportunities. Short, concise, and in the present tense. And of course, specific. It cannot be vague. It has to be specific. Because what happens is that when you use such short, concise, specific, in the present tense, self-talk, positive affirmations, what it does is that it communicates to your brain. And our brain naturally wants to work with us to help us achieve our goals. And we give it a focus. We give it direction. Another way you can break a negative self-talk is to try to eliminate any negative habits that you may have. For instance, some common negative habits that people struggle with: procrastination, comfort eating. What is the negative habit that you struggle with? And do you find that in those instances when you become subdued by this habit, that you begin to think negatively and speak negatively about yourself? Can you relate to that? So get a sheet of paper and make a list of some of the negative habits that you would like to change in your life. And start with one or two. I never suggest starting with too many because we don't want to overwhelm our mind and overwhelm ourselves. And then what happens is that we will not be able to remain dedicated on our path to success because we're overwhelmed. But start with one, two, or three maximum. But I will recommend start with two. Identify two habits. Perhaps you struggle with perfectionism, or perhaps you struggle with procrastination. And I won't go deeply into procrastination here. I have another video coming up on how to overcome procrastination. And use your self-talk to change that behavior. Again, if you want to look in Cameron Acker's book, he has some, at the back of that book, he has some recommendations on how to use self-talk to stop smoking, how to use self-talk to lose weight, how to use self-talk for various goals. It is a great predictor for success. You can use your positive self-talk to change behavior. Now, of course, if you conduct research on the internet, you will see that there are persons who are against positive psychology and against positive affirmations. And I respect their position. But let me ask you something. If you were to decide tomorrow morning to wake up and say, hey, I'm going to be negative today. Or rather, you're not going to entertain any positive thoughts today. Tell me, how would you feel by the end of the day? Would you feel happy? Would you feel empowered? Would you feel motivated? Would you have the drive to go through the day? I'm sure you will feel quite the opposite, and perhaps even sick and down with a headache. So I would prefer starting my day on a positive note and carrying on throughout the day that way so that I feel empowered, that I feel ready to do all the things that I've set out to do for the day and do it with drive and motivation. Because when you have such a mindset, when your mind when you have such a frame of mind, you will perform at your best in whatever you've set out to do. You will give your best work. So endeavor to remain positive, and you will certainly break that negative self-talk. And practice repeating to guide your thoughts and your behavior. For instance, in my weight loss journey, I used to be 86 kilos. And in my weight loss journey, I've lost 10 kilos since. I have used my self-talk to guide my thoughts and my behavior. Because things may happen during the day where you may feel down and subject to comfort eating, which was something that I realized when I started out on my self-awareness journey, that I was victim to comfort eating. When I get stressed, I go for my chocolates. And recognizing what needs to change is one of the first steps to change. And catch your critic. Don't allow your critic to come to you and tell you that you cannot change. That's how you are. No, none of us are fixed. Although Carol Dweck has a wonderful book on the fixed and growth mindset, people demonstrate the fixed or growth mindset, but it does not mean that you cannot move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. It does not mean that a person who has a fixed mindset, who says, I cannot change, I was born this way, I have always been disorganized in my life, I'm a disorganized person, I've always procrastinated, I'm a procrastinator. It doesn't mean that that person cannot change and move to a growth mindset, where you see challenge as opportunities, where you aim to always develop and become better in your journey of personal development. So use your self-talk to guide your behavior, to guide your thoughts. Research demonstrates that we process 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts a minute. Can you believe that? And most of those thoughts are automatic. Can you imagine the emotional wreck we will be if we do not keep a check on our thoughts, on our self-talk, on our beliefs? So I encourage you, my friend, you who are watching my video at this present moment, if you struggle with self-talk now, this brings me to another point quickly. If I were to ask the question, how many of you struggle with negative self-talk? Many persons will say no. But what some of us fail to recognize is we can be a positive person, generally, but we struggle with negative self-talk for a certain aspect of our lives. Overall, you can be a positive person, but you struggle with negative self-talk, for instance, in your health life, or maybe relationship-wise. I'm 42 or I'm 47 and I'm still single. I'll never get married. Things never work out for me. I'll never have kids. I think I have bad luck. But that person can be generally, overall, a nice person, a positive person. But for that particular aspect of his or her life, he struggles with negative self-talk and self-limiting beliefs. So don't be too quick to say I don't struggle with negative self-talk. Rather take the time and evaluate yourself. Evaluate your life. Evaluate your past. And see if there's any area of your life where you struggle. Any area of your life where your negative habits, your bad habits, has been fueled by your negative self-talk. You know, there's this great quote from an American activist, Peace Pilgrim. He says, "Do not suppress it, it will hurt you. Do not express it. This will not only hurt inside, it will cause ripples in your surroundings. What you do is transform it." And I want to leave you with this quote. Don't suppress the negative self-talk. And don't just go uttering everything, every rubbish, every negative thing, every limiting belief that comes into your head. Don't go echoing it. Catch that critic. Stop it in its tracks. Replace that negative self-talk with positive affirmations, with positive self-talk. You know, when I was doing my doctoral degree, I struggled at times when certain challenges surfaced. And my self-talk, I would use the scripture for my positive self-talk to guide my thoughts and my behavior in my challenges. So what you have to do is transform that self-talk and use it to achieve success in your personal life. Whether your personal life, you have relationship goals, family goals, vocational goals, financial goals, in your professional life, whether you want to get promoted or you want to find another job, a job that you're more passionate about, or you want to leave the 9 to 5 and live a freedom lifestyle. You want to start your own business and contribute to society. Or whether it's in your business life, you already have a business, you want to expand it. You want to take your business to another level. Use your self-talk to guide your thoughts and behavior, to keep you on the path to success so you can achieve your goals. I also want to recommend, before I close this video, hop over to my website, www.peaklivingwithmel.com. On my website, you will find a free resource called the Thought Management Guide. And here you will be able to download that guide and you'll be able to go through identify some of the unhelpful thoughts that we may have, which I will discuss in another video, in a subsequent video. Emotional reasoning, black and white thinking, comparing ourselves, and you'll be able to identify these negative or unhelpful thoughts, and I present some tools to help you to overcome it. And I want to thank you for watching this video, and I want to urge you to begin to pay closer attention to your self-talk and self-talk your way to success. You can have success in any goal in life. You are the captain of your ship. Use your self-talk to control your mind, to control your actions, to control your behavior, to get rid of the bad habits, to eliminate the negative thinking and the self-limiting beliefs, and always hope for better outcomes in life. I want to thank you for watching. Hop over to my website. There are lots of blogs there on various topics which I'm sure will inspire you, and look out for more upcoming videos. And remember to like, share, subscribe. Thank you.